Now, what about some other rumours that are doing the rounds right now? Talk to me about this Neymar story that seems to have developed over the past couple of days. And that, look, we know that Lionel Messi's not superhuman. He's a superhuman footballer, but his body's like everybody else's. There's going to come a time where it's just like, nah, I'm done. I'm done. So, are we getting to a stage in Major League Soccer where replacing Messi is very, very difficult, if not impossible, but you can get someone, a superstar like Neymar, to come in? And that might start a trend of, okay, it's going to be superstar. It's going to be like the Galacticos of Real Madrid, but at Inter Miami, and it's going to be one after the other. Tell me what you've heard.
Well, he was obviously part of the Formula One coverage this past weekend, and our own friends at ESPN Argentina talked to Neymar Jr., who has a contract with Al Hilal until the end of 24-25 season. He obviously got injured in October, another serious injury that will stop him from playing with the Brazilian national team in Copa America. And he was asked, about, his future and, if he sees himself playing in Brazil. And Neymar said, honestly, not really. I don't know if I see it. He gave a little bit of a dubious answer, but he said, I would like to play in MLS, and I like that idea. And then the conversation of him maybe rejoining, Messi and Suarez and Inter Miami. He says, if Messi's happy, I'm happy. Everybody loves Messi. Everybody that's played with him talks like this. And Neymar is no different. He kind of wants to join. So I think he was acting as his own PR person, and kind of selling himself to MLS, saying, hey, listen, once the contract with Al Hilal is over and I'm fit again and everything ready, take me in. I mean, nobody is going to create the energy, the impact, the mania that Lionel Andres Messi did last summer when he initially arrived to Inter Miami. It's not going to happen. Now, Neymar Jr. is obviously a huge name, and it will be amazing. And obviously, Apple TV and Adidas would love that kind of MLS season pass seller once again to bring the Brazilian in. But it wouldn't be the same. Now, where could he play? I would like to see him in another club. Orlando City has a lot of Brazilian interest. Obviously, they started with Kaká. It would be very cool to see him in MLS. But, I mean, it's a few years from now. He was just trying to sell himself in Formula One, and we'll have to see what happens.
And just for the casual viewer of Major League Soccer that tunes in now and again, it's not all about Inter Miami. Yes, Messi's there right now, but as far as the league is concerned, this could be something that happens to another club. I think that's a good point you make about Orlando City, because if it's just going to be the case that the next superstar rolls into town and goes to Inter Miami, if I'm Charlotte, if I'm Atlanta, if I'm clubs nearby, I'm saying, hold on a minute here, Orlando City, what's going on? So how would it be decided as to who would get the superstar if that's the route that they wanted to go down?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I only mentioned Orlando City partly because of the Kaká introduction, but they have a really big Brazilian-American community, so it's like an obvious one to do. But the point that I want to echo is what you said at the beginning. People need to understand that Major League Soccer, yes, Messi, clearly a massive name, and he's created so much energy. But if you watch the opening game with Charlotte FC, managed now by our former Villa manager, Dean Smith, that's a packed 40,000 stadium going nuts. You go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta United, you're talking about 60,000 to 70,000. LAFC, this is a country that's just so hungry for the game. When you add a superstar, it just adds more fuel to the fire. It doesn't need the superstar. It's not like the Saudi Pro League. There's already a culture of soccer in this country. Now, clearly, MLS is not perfect, and there are many things that people want to see better or not, but this is a hungry, growing league with multiple markets. Messi just added just a gallon of gasoline to the already growing fire. Neymar coming to it will be, well, be amazing to see what it will, but Neymar wants sun. So I was just thinking Orlando, Inter Miami. I think he wants that kind of vibe. Like, that's what I'm feeling. I don't see him any time being at Sporting Kansas City. Sorry, guys.
I'm just thinking at Hearts in Scotland. I mean, we can provide Portobello Beach, sunshine, not so much. Yeah, I don't know if he'd get a game right now, to be honest. He's not getting a game ahead of Lawrence Shankland. A couple more names before we wrap this up. Interesting about Rafael Leão. Talk about him and Milan perhaps staying put, but Newcastle have been linked with him as well. Maybe it's a surprise to some that Newcastle, with all the money that's now available to them, haven't gone out and done what Chelsea have done and splashed the cash, but they've been smart. And Eddie Howe said, look, hey, I'll get who I want, when I want, if I decide that it's a case of we need them. So Rafael Leão, would he swap Milan, one of the fashion capitals of the world, for the Premier League and Newcastle? Would that be a step up for him?
Well, maybe at some point he'd like to go to the Premier League. He's still young, right? 24 years old, I believe, and he's a ridiculous talent, Rafael Leão. But I don't want to put any disrespect to Serie A or AC Milan. And he actually has come out and said, listen, like AC Milan have done a lot for me. I have a 4-year contract here. Whether he honors that and stays 4 years, that's to be questioned. But for right now, I don't really see him leaving AC Milan. Newcastle, like you said, are being smart because they spent a lot the previous summer, and regardless of who owns them, the directorship wants to follow the profit and sustainability rules. So, that's an important part, that they're not doing what Chelsea's strategy was the past 3 windows as well. So, but I do hope, selfishly, to see Rafael Leão in the Premier League. It would be fantastic. PSG are a very interested club in Rafael Leão, specifically when Kylian Mbappé leaves for Real Madrid. They do see him as a piece that could fit in that lineup. Will it happen? I'm not so sure. I personally don't see Rafael Leão leaving AC Milan unless it's for a ridiculous amount of money, which I'm sure they would have to look at.
Okay, you mentioned Chelsea, and we're going to end with a seamless transition to Chelsea's both recruitment and their staff, because Conor Gallagher next season will enter the final year of his deal. Now, will he get to enter next season and have the final year of his deal at Chelsea, or will they look to sell him in the summer? Some of the praise that's come for him from Pochettino and others at the football club. Does it make sense for Chelsea to get a deal sorted rather than probably spend twice as much on getting a replacement if they do allow him to go? Or is this all financial fair play related? What do you reckon about Conor Gallagher's future at Chelsea?
It's interesting because when Mauricio Pochettino was asked about it, he said, my job is to be the manager. I have no say in the matter, which is interesting because he was reminded that at Manchester City, you have Betty Gestain, the director of football, that basically tries to find players that match Pep Guardiola's system and chemistry. Arsenal also have it under Edu as well. And even the likes of Liverpool as well have a clear plan on who could fit the manager's strategy, the manager's philosophy. Chelsea don't do that. I mean, they don't really add that much of an input with Mauricio Pochettino. Mauricio Pochettino may say what he wants or whatever, but he has no say in the matter. So when he was asked about Conor Gallagher, he was like, I want him to stay. I hope he can stay, but it's not my place to see. So it's in the air to see what the future of Conor Gallagher will be, entering the last year of his contract. I would imagine that they're going to be willing to let him go in exchange for a flashier name. That's the only thing that I'm thinking of. But Conor Gallagher is a fine footballer who would be able to help many, many teams in the Premier League.